Welcome to episode 5 of this 13-part episode on setting up your Thinkific site and your first course from start to finish. Your course sales page is the one that a potential visitor sees and makes a decision on whether to enroll and purchase your course. So it's important, and we're going to build it properly. In this episode, we're going to cover choosing your theme settings or your branding, and several different options for building out or having your sales pages built out for you. If we haven't met yet, my name is Kim, better known as Brainy Girl, and I have been one of Thinkific's top experts since 2015. We have literally built hundreds and hundreds of Thinkific sites for clients, and my goal in this series is to help you learn how to build yours out well and properly. In the first 4 episodes of this series, we got your site set up and your course built. All of that was back-end setup. This today, in this episode, is the first part a customer actually sees. If you haven't watched those 4 episodes, go back and start there. They are all linked below. I'll also add a link to our community in the description where you can get all the resources mentioned in these episodes. So without further ado, let's dive into building your course sales page. Okay, so we're back on my sandbox site here. So this is a sort of testing ground that I use for Thinkific projects and new features and things like this. So there's not much here, only what we have built in the first 4 episodes of this series. So up until now, we've really just done back-end setup, but now we're getting more to the front-end piece. And so for this, we need to install a theme or choose our theme. Thinkific only has very few to choose from. There's 4 different themes and some sort of, we'll call them sub-themes inside of those. So you're going to find your themes under channels and theme library. I think by default it is Vogue. Now, a couple of caveats here before you actually change a theme. Number 1 is if you've had any theme customization, and you will know, you've hired a developer or you've had someone on your team do some theme customization. If that's the case for you, don't go and change your theme, okay? We don't want things wiped out. We don't want things changed on your site. Again, you will know if you've had your theme customized. So again, by default, I think you're probably going to see the Vogue theme here. I don't find the Vogue theme to be particularly flexible. And so what I would do here is go up to Explore Themes. So there's only 3. And then I think there's 4 styles, 3 styles, and 3 styles. So not many to choose from, but enough that we can absolutely make it work. And you can go into each of these and view the details of it. So here is the main theme, we'll call it, and here's our different styles within the theme. So this sort of gives you a preview of what that might look like. So the idea here is to choose one that looks as similar to the way you want your site to look as possible, remembering that we can customize a huge amount of this. So the one that I find the most flexible, so when we normally build client sites, we almost exclusively use Empire. So let's go into view the details here. And to be more specific, we almost always use Empire Halo. It just tends to be the most flexible of the themes that I have found. So again, there's 4 different styles. So that's what Jet might look like. That's what Spark might look like. And that's what Edge might look like. So I'm looking at things like, this one uses pill-shaped buttons, whereas this one uses more square buttons. And if you scroll down, you could see some screenshots of what that page might look like if you use this particular theme. In true Brainy Girl fashion, we are still going to go with Empire and Halo. So I'm just choosing Empire Halo. I'm going to click Install Empire. Now you're going to get this kind of scary pop-up here that says you can copy your current settings, custom pages, and any content you've created over to your new theme. Choose Start Fresh if you would like to build your new site. Now, if you've been following me with these episodes, you want to copy your content over. So I would click Yes, copy my content, and that's just going to pull it from the current theme, which is this one here, over into this new theme, which is Empire. We'll give it a minute to install, and now we'll go back to my themes because it says it successfully installed it. Now, if you have a live site and you're wanting to update it, you can still do this because the theme is basically installed in the background at this point. 2 things here. If you're going to build this new theme in the background because your site is live, then when you go into edit your landing pages, you want to go in through build here. And then when you're finally done, you want to publish this new theme. If you're just starting out and you don't have any live pages, you don't have any, students, you don't have traffic running to your site, then you can absolutely publish this now and just start building with that, which is what I am going to do in this case because it is a brand new site with some back-end setup that we've already done. So I'm going to click on publish. We get this kind of scary pop-up. It says it will replace Vogue as your current live site. All site content and customizations made to Empire will be immediately visible to students, which is cool with me. I'm going to click on publish. Again, this is not something that you're just going to do willy-nilly. You need to put some thought into this. Is your site live? If your site is live and having traffic run to it, making the change over to this new theme will change the look and feel of the pages, depending on how much customization you've done. So there's a lot of considerations here. You need to think this through. I am not suggesting you just go install a new theme and carry on. There are implications if you do that. So just make sure that you know all of the ins and outs of that. In this case here, I now have Empire as my published theme, and I can go ahead and start building. So that is your theme library and installing your new theme, publishing your new theme. Okay, now let's talk about the job of and the reason for and the structure of a good course sales page. Now, when I say course sales page, a sales page is just a landing page, and a landing page is just a web page with a call to action. So that could be your about page, your home page, your course sales page, your bundle sales page. Any of those things would count as a landing page. It is somewhere that someone lands. It is a landing page, but it's a specific kind of landing page. In this case, it is the landing page that is the place where a potential customer or student makes a decision about whether they are going to buy your course or not. And this part is really important to know because I see this in 90% of the cases. A course sales page is not a description of your course. It is a story that leads the visitor to a purchase of the course. Very, very different. Now, I could probably give you 100 examples of Thinkific sales pages that I've seen that are really just a description of all the features that they're going to get. That is never going to sell your course. But I'm not going to give you actual examples because I don't want to call out anyone specifically who has built one of these. Usually, when you build a sales page, you are not a designer, you are not a marketer, you do not have SEO experience, and so you should not be expected to build a robust, high-converting sales page. So understand that. No judgment here, but it's really important to understand that your course sales page is a story that leads the visitor to a purchase. It should have one message and one offer. If they cannot tell what you're selling in 5 seconds, they're off your page. You're going to use in the copy, and by the copy, I mean the text on the page. It's called copy. That's why it's called copywriting. You always want to use you and never they. So you want to speak directly to the person on the other side of this landing page, not to the 1,000 people that might be coming to the landing page. Okay, so every section of the page is going to talk to one person. And the third thing to understand, nobody buys the curriculum. They buy the result or the transformation that they get from your course. They do not buy the curriculum. So stop highlighting all of the curriculum. It's just so much less important than you actually think it is. So let's quickly cover what the structure of a sales page should be for conversion. So let's look at these as the different sections on your page. It's going to start with the hero section. 100% of people who land on your page are going to see your hero section, but only 40% are going to scroll. So in that top section, what we call the hero section, there should be a main headline, a subheadline, a call to action button, a testimonial if you have it, and a visual, a picture, a short video of the product, of a happy customer, something they want. There should be a very strong headline formula, and there's lots to choose from. Here's just an example. So the outcome they want in a specific time frame without the thing they dread. That is the formula, okay? And here's the most common thing I see is putting your course name in the headline. No one cares about the name of your course. They care about the result they're going to get. That's what we need to speak to. The whole point of the hero section is to get them moving through the page, okay? We don't want to lose 60% of our traffic. So the next section is generally a social proof bar of some kind. So these could be brands you've worked with, logos of places you've been featured. It could be certain like numbers, like students taught, years doing this, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Then we need to paint the problem. So we need to explain the problem to them, their problem, better than they could actually say it themselves. One problem, in their words, what it costs them, and how it feels. This is our connector. This is them saying, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I have that problem. Then we go to the imagine section. And the imagine section is helping them understand what their life or business or relationship or whatever it is that you're selling is going to look after they finish this transformation, your course. Then and only then are we going to introduce the offer. the name of the offer, the one promise, a mock-up of some kind of the offer, and if you have a promo video, that's where the promo video would go. Next is the offer differentiator. So why is this any different than the other 10 that they've looked at? What else they would buy without naming a competitor, the thing you do that your competitor doesn't, what the difference actually gets them. So why does it matter? Why is yours a different thing than any of the other things like this out there? And then proof is really good always. All right, so that's the offer differentiator. And then we've got the results. So what will you be able to do at the end of this course that you can't do now? So you'll be able to build this, you'll understand this, you will shift this, you will have a better relationship with such and such or so and so, okay? And so you'll be able to have a better relationship with your husband so that what? Okay, that's so that is really, really important because that's what helps them connect to that. All right, so that's the results section. Then it's the feature section. So this is about what's really inside with the payoff attached. So this is feature plus benefits. So you can talk about the lessons, the workbooks, the template, the community, the blah, 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 but you need to also say how that is going to benefit them, right? So 12 video lessons, all they're going to do is look at that and go, holy shit, that's a lot of work. They're not going to look at that and go, woo, I get 12 video lessons. You're giving them 12 video lessons so that you can learn how to do this, and this step by step. That's the benefit. What's the benefit and the feature? You need both. Next comes testimonials. Now you can sprinkle testimonials throughout the page, and I strongly encourage you to, but if you're going to do nothing else, the testimonials must be above the investment or the pricing section, okay? Written testimonials are no good. No one believes a written testimonial anymore. You could sit down and write a testimonial. If there's no headshot, there's no video, it's not a real person, it's not a real name. It says, Marissa A. Well, who is actually going to believe that? Stop thinking that a written testimonial with a partial name is going to do you any good. It's not. You need full testimonials. Video testimonials are gold if you can get them, but at least a headshot. So it is a real person. Okay. And then the investment. So this is the price. This is the pricing section. This is where you're going to lay out the courses this much. You're also going to recap everything that they're going to get. And I don't mean 12 video lessons. Leave the features behind. This is the benefits, generally in some kind of bullet point or check mark or something like that. So it's a very quick recap here. Then you're going to have your payment options. So maybe you have 2 tiers. Maybe you have a one-time payment and 3 payments of whatever. Right? There's your payment options, and then you need a big, bright button that tells them what happens when they click it. All right? It's also, again, depending on your audience, I'm conflicted on this one. Sometimes we use this with clients, sometimes we don't. That all adds up to $2,000, but you can enroll today for $200. I think this is slightly overdone. I think you can change that messaging to make sense to that particular buyer persona. That's the other thing. You need to make sure that everything in here is written for your buyer persona. If you don't know who your buyer persona, get clear on that first. That's really important. Okay. Right under the investment should be the guarantee. So this is taking the risk off of them and putting it on you. So what is the promise? 30 days, money back, 7 days, money back. You haven't viewed more than 10% of the course. What is your guarantee here? Okay. Without that, you are going to lose a substantial amount of people because they don't really know what they're getting into. Unless they know, like, and trust you and they've bought something from you before, you're really talking to someone who is going to be skeptical at this point. Okay. So you could have the terms in there, or you could link to your terms. You could have a badge in there so that it's very quick and easy. Here's one: buy it, try it, apply it. You're backed by a 7-day money back guarantee, something like that. Then we're going to introduce yourself. Everyone wants to put themselves way up, but at this point, we have to connect with them first. They have to know they're in the right place. This is the right solution, and then we're going to introduce yourself. Okay, so you must have a photo. Ideally, you have a video, the before and after version. So the version of you that had their exact problem, and then what changed to get you where you are now, that you can then teach them and help them get this transformation or result. Now, you could also do a shorter version of this on the sales page, linking to a full about page where your full bio is, if you feel the need to do that. Okay, under that should be, is this for you? So helping them decide, including those that need to decide no, right? If it's not your ideal buyer persona and they're not the right fit for this, then they're not going to work through the program. They're not going to get the results. They're going to be unhappy. We don't want that. So who is this for and who is this not for? You need to be very specific about that. All right. Why now? So why not next year? Why right now? What is the cost of the waiting? The real competitor is doing nothing, right? So name that, say that. And then a deadline. If you have some kind of urgency or scarcity, the deadline is a really good way to move them into action. And then we're going to have frequent objections, so FAQ section. And so you're thinking about all of the things that they might say to you that would stop them from buying your course. All right. And then the final call to action at the end, one last headline and price for someone who gets to the very bottom of this and they're now ready to do it. All right, some other things that I thought was really important to cover in this video is what's actually moving the needle in 2026, which is when this is being filmed. I'm going to go over some of these because no longer are static web pages really working for conversion. Really, we're looking at more dynamic pages, personalized pages, okay? So quizzes and calculators, not static forms. Again, on any landing page, but you could use these on sales pages as well. Faces, not logos, so video testimonials from real buyers. The page adapts. Now, this is a little more advanced, but this you could have copy that shifts based on where they came from. So if they came from a YouTube video, you could have different copy than if they came from a Facebook ad, for instance. All right, 30 seconds, short loops, beat a long sales page. So scannable, quick. We have zero attention span right now. So big reams of text, not going to work. Built for a thumb. So we want to make sure that we are building this for mobile. Sticky buy button. That means one that doesn't disappear from the screen as they're scrolling. You want to make sure you have multiple payment methods like wallets that they could quickly check out with. Okay. Speed of page under 2 seconds. Slow pages, you are going to lose them before that headline even loads. And bullets back to scanning. Bullets beat paragraphs, so make it scannable and say it in plain words. If you can write it for a 5th grade level, perfection. If you can write it for a 4th grade level, even better. Okay. Again, this is somewhat dependent on your buyer persona. I'm making some blanket statements here. You have to look at your buyer persona and your demographic to know, but these are some of the things that are really moving the needle in 2026. Okay, so let's go back to my sandbox site on Thinkific. When you go into products and courses or sales and bundles, whatever you're creating a sales page for, you have a sales page or a product page or a landing page for everything that you are selling, every course on your Thinkific site. It comes with it. It's part of it. Okay. So as you can see from our past episodes here together, I created one with the new course builder and one with the classic course builder. Two different, same course, two different building styles. What we're not going to do is focus on the AI pages that Thinkific offers you. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go watch the previous episodes where we talked about the AI sales pages. I do not think that you are ever going to be able to create a high converting sales page or landing page with one of those. And the way that you get to your sales page, two different ways. One is by going into the course, into manage, and going over here to product page, and then editing the page. That's one way to get there. The other way to get there, if you're using the classic builder product page, is to go into channels, website. You can go to product pages here, and then you are going to see our 2 product pages here for our 2 courses. So you can get in there either of those ways. Just for ease, I'm going to go into products courses, and I'm going to go into this classic builder one and click on manage and go over to product page. Okay, so before we dive into building any pages, let's look at the 3 different ways that I would suggest that you build out your landing pages on your Thinkific site. So let's go through them one by one. Okay, first you've got your landing page template. So this is something that we sell, landing page templates for Thinkific site. So it's a page that's already built, already structured, and all we do is we match it to your brand, put in your words and images, and load it onto your site. So it matches your site, it is branded for your site, it has your copy and images, and it's loaded onto your Thinkific site. So what do you need to know for this? Nothing at all. We build it. You bring your copy, your images, and your brand colors, how far you can take it. It's a done for you high converting sales page. So there is some customization in that we can do the branding, the colors, the images. We also offer fully custom built pages. So if those templates are not something that you're like, nah, there's none of these that really work for my style, my brand, we also build custom pages. So that's one level up from this. Okay. And then you spend your money instead of spending your weekends trying to build these pages out. So I'm going to quickly show you our template gallery, which is the templates that we have in there right now. And then we'll come back to this page to look at the two other ways that I would suggest building this. So this is just on our website here. I'll put a link below if you want. These are beautiful, high converting templates. Okay, landing page templates. And there's different collections. So for instance, we started adding our Black Friday collection. So this is called the Voltage collection. This is the homepage takeover. So during Black Friday, this would just take over your homepage of your Thinkific site. Here's a course sales page that you could do for Black Friday and a membership sales page for Black Friday. If you go down, there are other ones down here, different collections, and there's a variety of pages to choose from. You can go into any of them and view the demo page. And this will give you a very good idea of what your site might look like with one of these templates applied to it, but with your colors, your testimonials, your images, your branding, and your copy on here. All right. So that is one option to use something like templates. I don't know of anyone else that offers Thinkific sales page templates or landing page templates. There may be someone out there, but our templates are built by our team who has been a top Thinkific expert since 2015. So you can scroll the page types, you can scroll the collections, and if it's something that you want to order, right now we actually have these on 350 Canadian per page or 900 for 3 pages. Now, by contrast, the regular price of these is $800 per page or $2,000 for 3 of these pages. So it's a very good deal. If you think of the time that you would spend building out your own landing pages, not being a designer, not being a marketer, not having SEO background, not having any UX background, it would take a long time. But this is just an option if you don't want to build it yourself. Okay, so the templates, buying templates and having someone else, us in this case, install them, brand them for you. This is best if you'd rather be generating revenue than designing. Now, I understand that not everyone can pay to have these done, so I want to give you other options. Option 2 that I would take is Super Powerups. So Super Powerups are created by Rob Galvin, one of my colleagues, another Thinkific expert, and these are basically different sections that you could put on a sales page. So if you have an idea about how to put together a sales page, you could use Powerups and use these different sections to put these together. So what you would need to know, it's basically like a plugin for your Thinkific site. So you buy them or you buy the lifetime or the back package option, you install them on your Thinkific site, and then you have a number of different sections to choose from. Now to use Super Powerups, you need to know page structure, UX, color theory, typography, and copywriting. If you know these or you are pretty confident that you could build your own sales page, this is definitely an option. But you build the sales page, you still bring the copy, images, design, taste, and the time. You can take it well past what Thinkific gives you on your own and make it very customized. But you are the designer here. So as long as you're comfortable with being the designer of those pages, this is a great option. We use Powerups all the time. Before we built our own templates, we use Powerups all the time. We still use them for different things in client sites and our own site. So I highly recommend Super Powerups if you have some comfortability with building out your own landing pages, okay? Best if you understand UX and you have a good eye. Okay, the third option here is Thinkific's default sections. So that's what Thinkific gives you out of the box. There's nothing to install, nothing to pay for, any more than what you're paying right now for your Thinkific site. You still need to know page structure, UX, color theory, copywriting, all of that. You build it. You bring the copy, images, and patience, my friend. You will need patience for this. You can only take this as far as the sections that you're given. This is not customizable at all, really. I'm going to show you this, but they are very basic sections. Okay, but no additional funds required, and a page that probably converts poorly, to be totally honest with you. I am not one to sugarcoat, and so that is the reality. Unfortunately, if you use the default sections provided by Thinkific with a classic builder, it's not going to be a very high converting site. And best if you don't have the funds for Powerups or templates. That's literally who that is for. So if you are going to be using Super Powerups, you need to make sure that you download them first, and you will find them in your integrations once you've installed them. So let's go back to our course and back into our product page and edit page. So before we start actually building out the page, when you build your first landing page on your Thinkific site, before you do that, you want to make sure that your theme settings have been set. Within any page, you're going to see the page, and then you're going to see theme settings here. So I'm going to click on theme settings. What we're not going to do is change this style. That is the theme style that we chose originally. Site preview refresh, you could put on or off. And that is when you're building a page, sometimes it's super annoying when Thinkific is like trying to catch up with you. And so often I'll just turn that off if I'm building a page, but you can do what you want with that. Here's where you set your site colors, your desktop typography, mobile topography, and your favicon. So we'll go through these here. So this is where you set your site-wide colors. So header and footer, that's this background up here. Any links within there, that's this right here. And the transparent header menu link would be if you've got a transparent header menu. So just for ease, I would set that initially on just a light gray. All right, here's your page background. So that's the main background of your page. Generally, it's going to be white or dark, not red or pink or yellow. Makes it really hard to read. And now some of these will be slightly different based on what theme you chose. In this case, I do have the option to add a secondary page section color and choose that when I'm building out my page. And then a box is like any fields, like a checkout, the checkout field where they put in their name, their email, and so on. That would be considered a box. And this would be a box on hover. So when they hover over it, what color is that going to be? Here's your text and links. So these are your headings, your body, and any links that you have within your text. Here's your primary button, background color, outline color of the button, and the text on the button. And this is whether it is a solid button like this, whether it is an outline button. We'd have to choose the outline button for this, but whether it's an outline button, so it's only got the outline, and what color the text would be. And again, is this a solid, an outline, or a transparent where when they hover over it, it fills in. On this one, on the buttons, you also have the option of doing sharp. Apparently they're calling it sharp now. It used to be called rectangle. Soft, which would be pill-shaped. Actually, I think that's slightly rounded corners. And round. Ooh, I don't like how they have changed that. I don't even know what those mean now. Basically, it used to be like a sharp rectangle. Soft, I imagine, would be like gently rounded corners, and round would probably be pill-shaped, I imagine. I'm not sure why they changed that language. So this primary button could show up on a landing page. It could show up on a checkout, could show up on a dashboard. Honestly, there's not a lot of rhyme and reason. There's primary buttons and secondary buttons that show up throughout your site. So make sure that you brand both of those. And then you've got an accent color that can be added in. But again, a lot of this is like if you're using Thinkific default sections. Even if you're not using the default sections, you still need to set this up. Because again, this runs throughout the site, not just on this particular page. This is site-wide. Okay, so you're going to set your colors. Then you've got your desktop typography. So this is your banner, which is generally going to be in a hero section. Again, if you're using Thinkific's default sections. So you choose your font, your size, and the weight. So we could change this, let's say, to size 60. We'll watch this change. And we'll change this from light to semi-bold. Right? So this is basically the preview of it. Banner font's going to be your biggest. Heading's going to be your second biggest. Subheading is going to be smaller than heading. Secondary heading is going to be smaller than the subheading, and your body copy is generally going to be 16 or 18 pixels. Your button text, again, is going to be 16, 18, or 20 pixels, depending on, how big your buttons are going to be. What I would suggest is setting this up initially based on what you think it would be the best options. But you will end up having to go back and adjusting this after you kind of build out the site and see what all of this looks like live. Okay, here's your mobile topography. So this is for any devices. Generally button size, minimum 16, maximum 20 for body and button size. Anything above that is at your discretion. And then your favicon. So let me just show you that. Like, let's go to my Brainy Girl website. You can see a little image, or it might be initials. Like in my case, it says BG, and so that is the favicon. Over here is the favicon for my site. If we went to Google Drive, for instance, you can see the Google favicon here. So that is what a favicon is. Generally, it's going to be maximum 75 pixels by 75 pixels, and ideally it has a transparent background. So you would upload this to the favicon section of your site and then make sure that you click on save. All right, so at this point, we have done most of the theme settings that are site-wide, and we're going to go back to the actual page and start building it here. Okay, so let's start building the page here. I'm going to give you the basics because, again, I wouldn't suggest that you necessarily build these pages with Thinkific's default sections, but I'm going to give you the basics here. So what I would do first is basically on the left-hand side is where your builder is, and on the right-hand side is where your preview is. This is a little misleading here. This says desktop view, but what it really means is builder view because it's got the navigation on the left to build, and the right-hand side is kind of the preview. It does have a mobile option, but again, you would need to test this with different mobile devices or use something like Browser Stack to test your website or your pages on different devices to make sure that they are showing up as mobile responsive. So I wouldn't rely on this mobile view is what I'm saying. And then full screen shows you approximately what it would look like on desktop, although things like buttons are not clickable. So I would generally stay in desktop view here so that you can do your building. So on the left-hand side, again, under page, you've got header and footer. So the header is this part up here, and this is where you're going to add your logo. Now, one of the biggest things that I see with course creators is they want their logo huge. And when you make your logo huge, so therefore the header really huge, then it takes up some prime real estate here, which you don't want to. The reality is no one cares about your logo except you. So I would scale that back so it's still visible, but it's not taking up the majority of the space here. And then you would link this probably to your home page. So I'm going to link it to another page, and that is going to be the home page. So when someone clicks on this, it takes them back to the home page of your Thinkific site. And then you could put some alt text in here. So let's just say dog training 101 logo. Okay, and then style and alignment. So this is whether you want a solid background or whether you want a transparent background, which basically means that the image, whatever image or color you have up here, would go right up to the top, which it can be a nice option. But for this one, I'm going to stay with solid. I don't want sticky navigation. If I had sticky navigation, then that logo and these menu items stay at the top, but I would uncheck that because I want people to stay visitors to this page to stay focused on the actual messaging on the page. Make sure show my dashboard link is on, make sure show menu label is on, and you can align these menu items to the left or the right with this section here. All right, for the button, I would always hide the button that appears on product pages. It's a button up here that says get started. I do not think it's helpful for conversion. We have tested it a lot, so I would always hide those. And then these blocks down here, these are your links that would show up here. So I would always have one to the home page. And so I would link that to another page, and that would be the home page. And then I might have one linking to the about page, since it's the second most visited page on a website. So I'm just going to say another page. I don't have an about page on this site yet, so I would just do link it to a custom page if I have an about page, and then I might have view courses. And most times I would link this to a section on the page using an anchor link versus linking them to a separate page. All right, so that's how we add our links up here, and we're going to save as we go so we don't lose anything. So remember that the header and the footer are site-wide. So if you change this on one page, it is going to change them across all pages. So let's go down to the footer. That's this part down here. The 3 links that you really need in here are your home link. So again, I'm going to go to another page, and that's going to be home. Then I would also link to your privacy policy and your terms of use. So I would put privacy policy, and this would be a custom URL, and the URL is going to be this /pages/privacy, I think. Let me just test this in another tab and make sure that that is correct. Yep. I don't have my privacy policy on here, but you should have your privacy policy on here, and I did cover that in previous episodes. Okay, so I would always open this in a new window if it's a privacy policy or terms of use. And so I'm going to add one more link, and this is going to be terms of use, and the link would be a custom URL. And this one is actually terms. And again, open this in a new window and I would save. Those are the 3 links that I would have down here. Now, if you scroll up to this copyright section, what we want this to look like is take out the word copyright because that's what the symbol does. The Dog Training Institute 2026, all rights reserved. And you'll see that change down here, right there. Perfect. And then here we can add up to 3 social icons or social links. So I'm going to do YouTube. And let's just do a pretend YouTube channel here. So I'm going to put my YouTube link in and then my alt text for this. So I would just say YouTube channel. And then I could do a second icon. So let's do Instagram. And again, I'll just put the link to my channel in here. Again, this is just pretend, right? I don't have these for this particular Dog Training 101. And for this, I'd put Instagram. And then if you have a third, you could add it here as well. All right, so that's how easy it is to do the header and the footer. Then we're going to make sure that we save this. So now I would take out all of the sections that are currently in there. So I'm just clicking on the sections and deleting them and saving that. And then I would start adding my sections one by one. So again, I would follow this. I would start with the hero section, and I'd probably be using AI to help me at least with the copy of this. But for a hero section, if you're going to use Thinkific's default sections, the banner is probably the one that you'd have to use here. And again, they're not very customizable, so keep that in mind. Hide the default buttons. So then we just click into each one of these blocks or sections within the banner to customize this. Okay, so here's my large promise, train your dog basic commands in just 30 days without taking them to class. And then I can add a subheading here, which is right there. And again, you have a little bit of customization available, but it's very, very little with Thinkific's default sections here. Here's the background, so I could add an image to the background, or maybe I just want a color. If you're adding an image, it does give you the recommended size. Okay, so let's just choose secondary. Now, again, I did not customize these in the theme settings. Would I use bright pink like this? Probably not, unless it was part of my brand. So there's some options in here to choose from. Then we can add an image or a video. So if I was going to add an image, I could do that here. If I was going to add a video, I could add a video from YouTube, which I would not suggest because that could take them off your sales page. What I would do is upload it to your video library or your asset library first, and then choose it from there. So I'm just going to choose one. So here's the size and alignment. Again, you can play around with these and see how they look. So this is padding above and below. How do I want my content to be aligned? So I'm going to align it left. And then my media alignment, I want to align that right. And here's where I can add a button. So maybe this links to the checkout page for Dog Training 101 for the $297. And I want it to say enroll now. And I want it full width on mobile. All right. So this is basically how you start to build out the sections of a sales page using Thinkific default sections or Powerups. Powerups work the same way. Once you have them installed, you would add a section. And so these are all Thinkific default sections here. And then if you come down a little bit further, you're going to see now that we are in the different power-ups that we can use. So player snips are for inside courses. Site page templates is probably what I would use here. So let's use site page templates. I find those are something we use a lot for client sites. I'm just going to drag that up to the top, and I'm going to go into the site page templates section. And then I have to go through all of the settings here to make sure this is basically, we'll call this the theme for the page, is your site page templates section. Okay, it doesn't show anything. It just sort of controls those site page sections on your page. So I'm going to add another section. And again, I'm going to use SPT, which is site page template. And let's use this one here. So you can see what a difference here. This is a Thinkific default section. This is a power up section. Totally different. Obviously the branding's different, but just the ability to have, an image in the background, a couple of videos immediately makes it more interactive. And the same thing, you would do the same thing with the power up sections. You would just go into that section and then you would start customizing it. Rob has lots of help topics on this if you want. So this rise to success, this is basically the highlight text. And then here's the description, which is this here. Here's our call to action. So join the Bread Academy. Where would we link that to? We'd link that to our checkout. Do I want to show the arrow on a primary button? I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory, but I would certainly use his help topics if you are going to use his power-ups to build out these pages. Here's our media. So there's our image in the recommended size. Here's our alt text for that image. Here's the video overlay 1 and video overlay 2. So that's this one and this one here. Here's your colors that you're going to use or change based on your brand. Here's your typography. So again, this gets a little more advanced. So I'm not going to go into every single feature and how to use it. You need to read the help topics for the Power Up if you want to be using Power Up sections. And here's our spacing so we can adjust top padding and bottom padding as well. So you can see the drastic difference between, Thinkific default section and something like a Power Up section. All right. And again, you would use either of these if you are willing, able, have a little bit of design background, understand your buyer persona, can write your copy, things like that. You could certainly use either one of these options versus templates, which are done for you. And so you don't have to do anything with those ones. All right. So this is basically how we start to build out our sales page. Make sure that you save as you go along. And when you are done, you are going to copy that page link here. We're going to go to an incognito window, pop that in, and we are going to test it. Now, you have to make sure that your course is published and hidden in order for these buttons to actually work. So let's go make sure that our course, so I'm going to get out of Site Builder by using that top X there. So we're back in the course here, and we want to make sure that we are going to publish this. So before I do that, I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to uncheck that from private and save. I still want it hidden because I don't want anyone to see this except if they have a link or when I'm ready to sort of make it public. But I still need to be able to test the checkout links, and I can't do that if it's private. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to publish this now. Okay, and we're going to go back to our incognito window. And we're going to do a refresh. All right, so we can see the difference. This is basically what it's going to look like for a visitor that lands on the page. I'm going to click on Join the Bread Academy. I want to make sure that this goes through to the checkout, and it doesn't because I haven't linked it properly. So let's go do that. So we're back in our course. Let's go to Product Page, Edit Page. I'm going to remove this top banner here just because. There we go. So we're just going to use this one. I'm going to click into Hero Banner with videos. That's this section here. I'm going to come down to Call to Actions. So Join the Bread Academy is what is the text that is on this button. And then we have to link this to the checkout page for Dog Training 101 and the price. Okay. Now this one here, it says start free trial. I don't have a free trial for this course, nor would I. So primary button style is, we'll just use the section style, that's fine. And the secondary button text, so this here, because I have two prices for my course, I'd probably put the secondary price in here. So maybe the first one I would say one-time payment. And for this one, I might say 3 monthly payments. And for this one, I am going to still lead to a checkout page, but I'm going to choose the price of the 3 monthly payments. Okay, so those are now linked properly. I'm going to save this. We're going to go back to our incognito window. We're going to do a refresh. And now when we click on these, this should lead to the one-time payment checkout. Oh, it's added it to my cart here. And if I click on 3 monthly payments, it's actually taken me over here. So I'm not sure why this is. This is interesting. I know that the cart option is in beta right now. So I'm not sure why one button leads to this pop-up saying it's added to the cart and the other one leads to the checkout. It's interesting. I'm going to take everything out of my cart. I'm going to try this one. Yeah, 3 payments still leads to the checkout. So can't tell you why that is. Again, the cart is in beta, so it will evolve as we go along. But basically, you want to make sure that we can get to the checkout for the product, whether it's added to your cart and then you go to the checkout, or whether it's taking you directly to the checkout. So we want to make sure it's going to the right course, that it is the right payment or payment type or payment option. We want to make sure our buttons, so I believe this is the primary button, so we want to make sure that the buttons look the way we want them to. Again, that's in theme settings that you would set that. Make sure that your course card looks the way you want it to. I'm just going to hit the back button here. Yeah, so you're going to test any links, any buttons, any things like that, in your footer, in your header to make sure they're all going to the right place. And so that's how you start building out your course sales page. I am not going to, there's no way, it would take hours to show you everything and every feature and how to set up everything exactly. This is a bit of a trial and error if you're going to build it yourself. And so if you're using Powerups, use the help topics. Thinkific also has help topics for its classic course builder. Now, of course, if you're using the AI builder, that's a whole different thing altogether. And you could look at the help topics on that. Or the other option is to just have done for you. So choose one of the templates on our site, have us do the branding for it and install it, or get a custom page built. It really comes down to how comfortable you are in the platform, how comfortable you are with design, marketing, UX, SEO, all of the components that go into actually building a page that converts. I'd love to hear what you're using to build your sales pages or your landing pages on your Thinkific site. Drop a comment below and let me know. Until then, I will see you in the next episode.